Let's go to our Heroes Hotline one more time to check in with Ryan Martin, the head coach of Lake Region Boys Basketball, a former Mr. Maine basketball, and now he hopes at some point in the near future to be a Guinness Book World Record holder. 1,134 three-pointers made this past Saturday in 1 hour, which would set the record once they verify it. And I got to tell you, Ryan, as someone who lived and died on my three-pointers and played very little defense and rebounding, and Ernie, I think I speak for you when I say you were the same way.
Well, speak for yourself.
It seems like you were living the dream, my friend.
It was awesome. It was a lot bigger event than I ever could have imagined, and there was a ton of support there, and it was just a really, really cool.
I remember you as a guard at Maranacook High School, 2000, I don't know, 6, 7, and 8, somewhere in that ballpark.
You're exactly right. Yep.
And so I play in the tournament up here in the old auditorium. Were you a prolific three-point shooter in terms of your own career?
I'd say probably mid-range was more of my game, but I'd shoot the three-pointer too. But I'd say, probably mid-range and getting to the rim in high school is what I did more of.
Did that change at all? I know you went to Maine for a year, and then I think it was I can't remember, Little East maybe conference.
Keene State.
Yeah, and then you played. I know you played professionally for a little bit afterwards too. Did your game change, and did you become? Did the three-pointer become more of a game as you moved on up?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially playing at Maine, I think the three-point shot was more part of my game, and especially when I played in Canada too. Just seemed like getting to the rim and the mid-range game was not as open as it was in high school, so a lot more of my points and my shots came from behind the line.
Now, I saw some video of you hitting some of this record, and it looked like you had quite the crew helping you out as well. Did you pretty much enlist the entire boys basketball team to be rebounders and put the balls in the little the ball rack, and then one of them looked like it was handing it to you?
Yeah, there's two guys, or actually there's 4 different rebounders, and they were taking 10-minute shifts, 2 at a time. And then there was one guy at the top of the rack just catching the balls and placing them in the rack, and there's another guy who took them off the rack and then would hand them to me.
I read a story in the Portland Press Herald about this. 1,408 shots taken, 1,134 made. That's like 80.5%. I assume you were shooting from the same spot?
Yeah. There's no time to move because you're trying to get up as many shots as possible in the hour. So yeah, I took all 1,408 shots from the top of the key, and yeah, luckily I took a lot more this time than I did my test run. My test run, I think I took just barely over 1,300. So it was like 100 more shots in this time than my last time.
What did you do? Because this is it's certainly an endurance test. There's got to be some level of physical conditioning
wrist
involved,
and elbow,
and entire body and winds and everything. What did you do anything specifically to prepare for this any more than what you do, so you don't embarrass yourself as a coach out there in front of your players?
Well, the big thing was I didn't realize it was going to be this much of a physical test my first time doing it. But when I did the test run, it was unbelievable. I was extremely tired and I actually cramped up with 20 minutes to go. And so I learned a lot during my test run. And then this time last Friday night when I broke the record, I was a lot more prepared for it. And I had a couple of weeks to train for it too. So a few times I did just like 20-minute segments of it, having 4 rebounders and just getting ready for it. But yeah, I never did the full hour because I just thought it was too much to do. And I was sore for a long period of time after it.
So from shot 1 to 1,400, how did the form hold up?
It's not too good. I'd say the last 15 to 20 minutes, it's really bad. It's just trying to get the ball over the front of the rim, and I hardly have any legs left. I kind of have to change my shot to using more arms and less legs, and then sometimes I use more legs and less arms. So it's a little bit strategic too when you're shooting the last 15, 20 minutes.
Did you take any sort of breaks for water or anything? Like a minute off every now and then, or just
no,
there wasn't any minutes?
Like I said, I just don't have time to. There's someone that's breaking down the math for me the other day too, because there's 3,600 seconds in an hour, so I'm shooting 1,400 shots. So it's pretty much every 2.5 to 3 seconds you have to get a shot off, and then have to make about 80% of them too. So
Wow.
it's definitely no joke. It's hard to do.
So this was barely more than a set shot, right? I mean, you were just kind of inching off the ground a little bit for some rhythm.
Yeah. I was trying to preserve my energy the best I could. So yeah, just a set shot every time.
Wow, that's crazy. Just the numbers. I mean,
Yeah, that's a lot.
1,400 shots, basically one every 3 seconds. So
Yeah.
you don't really have time to regroup, and you got to remember the shot is just about 20 feet, right? You're using the high school 3-point line.
Yep. And actually, unfortunately, I watching the video. I'm like 2 feet behind the line too at the end.
Oh boy,
'Cause I never looked down.
I just kept drifting backwards a little bit there.
Yeah.
What was the previous record? And this is kind of a 3-part question. How many shots did that person take? So what was their percentage, if you know it? And then what made you decide this was something that you had to do?
Yeah. Well, the previous record was 1077, and that's a great question. I never looked into that, how many shots he took. I did know that it was usually like 22 or 23 shots a minute. That was, I think, is what he said he usually took, and that's what I was usually taking too. But for whatever reason, Friday night I took 23 and a half shots. So 1408, I think, is 23 and a half shots per minute. I think just with the crowd being there, and I had a lot more adrenaline, and I shot at a quicker pace, which clearly made the difference.
Was there a way in which everybody kind of knew how you were doing? I mean, was there like a public count on a scoreboard or something going on there, so we know when you had 500 and things like that?
Yeah, it was a pretty cool event. We had a couple guys on the scoreboard. We had an official counter that had a clicker, and then we had an announcer during the whole thing too. And he had a chart with him while I was shooting, and after every minute he'd let the crowd know and let me know if I was on pace to beat the record or how many makes ahead of pace I was. So every single minute he was announcing that, and we also had it on my YouTube channel too. It was live there, and we had some commentators, and it was just a lot of people came to help and support, and it was very fortunate for that. It was pretty cool.
So about how much time was left when you got close to the record? And I mean, I assume there was a decent amount of time left, right? So it wasn't like there was a lot of nervous pressure to knock that one down.
No, there was the shot that went in to beat the record. There was exactly 4 minutes left.
And wow, and you got another what? You got another 60 or so in those last 4 minutes. So give yourself a little cushion.
Yeah. So again, that's when I was getting about 15 to 16 a minute at the end. When in the beginning, I think my first few minutes, I was making around 25, 26 a minute.
Yeah, and obviously, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I said you just definitely slow down as it goes on. It's just a physical toll on your body for sure.
That's a good thing too, I'm sure, because I'm sure they're probably going to want to look at the video, and if someone, his foot was on the line for this one, so you know what I mean? Like there's always these critiques and things, so you've got a nice little cushion there. Going back to what I said, what made you decide to do this? When did you decide that this was a thing you had to do, and why?
Actually, it was in the spring, so in May, the end of May. One of my friends, Nick Beauchesne, and I were really just messing around, shooting around, and he was just counting how many I could make in a row, and I went all the way to 104 in a row, which was the most threes that I know of that I've ever made in a row. And when I was done, he said, "You should go for a world record." And I'd never thought about doing that in my life, but then that night I went home and I looked up some world records, and that seemed to be the one that caught my eye the most, because it's not just shooting ability, but I feel like in order to get this world record, you have to be an elite shooter, but also in elite physical condition as well. So I just thought that was the best one for me to do, and also it was a great one for me to do too, to have a bunch of people come and make it a big event.
Are there other contests or Guinness records for the other 3-point lines that are kicking around, the women's and the NBAs and the college ones? Are those things that can be? That's
a great question. I mean, like I said, this is all so new to me too.
Okay.
I haven't looked into it enough yet. I mean, I still need to. This isn't official yet either. This still needs to get accepted. So
how does that work? How does the acceptance?
Yeah. Well, I first had to apply for the Guinness World Record, so I did write why I wanted to do it, and I had to kind of my resume and what I've done as a basketball player, and then they accept it, and then after that, They give you some guidelines to follow, so that's why having the scoreboard running and having someone checking to make sure my feet were behind the line, and then having different camera angles, and that's like all the things that they want for me to be able to send in, and then I guess they review it, and then they'll get back to me.
Now, I know with these types of things, they have museums kind of around the globe and things like that. Have you thought about when they do make it official and they want to put, like, say, an exhibit up or something to kind of showcase this, if they decide that's what they want to do? Have you thought about what that would look like?
I honestly haven't at all. Nope, I haven't thought about that at all.
I'm just picturing, like, they make a little figure of you just shooting three-pointers 24/7, 365 that they put in the corner of the museum. You know what I mean?
That'd be great.
How can you apply this lesson of sorts to your high school team at Lake Region in Naples this coming winter?
Yeah, I think a few things, but I guess number one for me was just to not be afraid of failure. I mean, this is definitely a record that I didn't know I was going to get, and we still invited people there. So I mean, I was okay with not getting it. I think it was a risk that I took, and I was confident in myself, but always knowing that, yeah, it's okay with failing. And for me, my greatest motivator is when I do fail. So for me, that was a lot of fun, and it was a big challenge, and I never want to back down from a challenge.
Do you have any other challenges in your future?
I think, I mean, there's a lot more of these world records I'd like to go after. I saw 209 in a row is the world record, which I think is absolutely insane. That's one record. And then I think 33 makes in 1 minute is another one. And I also could do free throws in an hour. I'm not sure what that one is, but I think there's just so many different world records I can go after, and I'm not sure what the next one's going to be yet, but I'm still kind of waiting to make sure this one gets accepted.
Did you have any particular longest streak of shots made during this contest last Friday?
Yeah, so when I did it's just funny because when I did my test run, when I didn't make as many, I had 62 in a row and 56 in a row, but the most that I had in a row Friday night was 36.
Okay, well, just a lot of consistency there, huh?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot more consistency, but actually, no, it was really just that I took more shots because my percentage was even lower Friday night than it was before too. On my test run, I shot 82%, and then on Friday night it was 80.5%.
I'm just picturing getting over 200 and knowing the number in the back of the head, and just like the pressure you would feel. 201, 202, 203.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I know. Well, even since I've made 104 in a row and I've tried that, I went to 97 one time too, and I started feeling the pressure just getting to 100. So I can't even imagine if I'm doing that and the pressure I'd feel at near 200 and after that.
I wonder, are there time constraints involved in those types of contests, or can you kind of slow down knowing you got the one last one to make, you know?
Right, yeah, there's no time constraints in that at all. So that's why, to me, that one's not as exciting as the one that I just did. That's why that one caught my eye, because, like I said, it's not just shooting ability. It's also a physical fitness test as well, I feel like.
That's interesting. So you could get to like 207 and be like, oh, sorry, guys, we're going to come back tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll finish this, and then you can go home on your own hoop and just get all your misses out and then come back the next day.
I wonder what the rules are on that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They have to have someone follow you to ensure that you don't take any shots in the meantime.
Sure.
Well, hey, Ryan, congratulations, and we look forward to seeing you in the Guinness Book of World Records here. Did they give you a time frame on when they'll accept it?
I think what I was told is it's about a 12-week process unless you want to upgrade and spend $800 for it to be in 5 days, which I did not care to do. Yeah. So I'm gonna wait. I'll wait the 12 weeks.
All right. Well, we'll hopefully we'll see and hear the announcement when they make it officially official. But congratulations, that's quite an achievement.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.